Hello. So I'm Beth. I head up the PR team at Journey Further. So Journey Further is a performance marketing agency, and we're based in Leeds and Manchester. We were set up 2.5 years ago. There was originally 3 of us, and now there's 43, so we've grown really quickly. And it's great that our proposition of clarity at speed is really resonating with people within the industry. So everything we do at Journey Further is aimed to drive performance for our clients, and I'm going to talk to you today how PR is absolutely a channel that, when used correctly, can really drive performance. A little bit more about me. So I've been working in the industry for over 8 years now. I've got quite a varied experience. I've worked with brands from more of a traditional PR aspect, and also from more digital SEO-led as well. So worked on lots of brands, but some names that you might recognise include SES, Ann Summers, Maryland Cookies and Jammy Dodgers, and Bessie's and Leeds Building Society. My Twitter handle is @Beth Nunnington. If you do have any questions throughout, then please tweet me and I'll get back to you at the end of this talk. So I wanted to start off the talk by addressing some challenges that I think we find in PR. So the value of PR is often questioned, and I think actually sometimes quite rightly so, which might be a bit strange coming from someone who works in PR, but I think all too often PR can be seen as a vanity channel, something that's impossible to report on, and something that's quite fluffy. So some of those challenges, it's a challenge to be data-driven and to therefore prove return on investment for our clients. In particular, that's hard to do when PR is just used as a standalone channel and it's not part of the wider marketing mix. When PR is just used as an afterthought, or we're just sort of given some budget from a client if they've got left over and they just want to do a bit of an ad hoc burst of activity, yeah, that's great for initial burst of brand awareness and building links, but ultimately that's not sustainable in terms of driving success. And something we're going to talk about in more detail, I think when we become far too focused on links, we're actually missing out on all the other key benefits that PR can offer. So today, hopefully you'll go away with lots of actionable insight that you can implement straight away. I'm going to talk you through 5 steps on how to create a performance-led PR strategy. So first off, considering that PR is a channel not just for links, how SEO and programmatic insight can be used to create media lists, how to devise a data-led and relevant content strategy, avoiding big, expensive campaigns, so it's actually possible to generate great results for clients through low budgets. And finally, in order to get coverage, we need to think like a journalist, so it's important that we really implement a newsroom mentality. So I wanted to start off with this, PR is PR, and you're probably thinking, well, of course PR is PR. Has she gone mad? Like, what else is it going to be? But I actually hear things described as PR quite a lot, so things like building links, earn media, so link builders, earn media, digital PR, traditional PR, brand building, and for me, fundamentally, it all means the same thing. It's all PR. So I think a lot of people here today will be interested in how PR can help SEO. But if you're focusing on using PR just for generating quality links, I really believe that you're missing a trick. Because when PR is used correctly, you can generate so much more than just great links. So at Journey Further, when we put a campaign idea together, then absolutely we'll be thinking of our client's end goal and main objective. So if that is to generate links to support SEO, then absolutely we'll be going after those tier A online publications. But for example, if we're working with a travel client and we've got audience data and insight that suggests that our client is reading the Sunday Times travel magazine, then why would we not want to speak to those journalists as well? Why would we not want to make sure that our content is getting into the hands of print journalists too? Because getting great PR coverage through broadcast, online and print channels means that not only are you going to get some fantastic links, but you're also going to reach a lot of people, which will ultimately build brand awareness, as a result leading to increased brand advocacy and increased trust. Which ultimately will increase purchase intent, which then helps to drive sales and conversions, which is absolutely the end goal. So therefore, I believe that we are not link builders, we are brand guardians, and we are storytellers. So link building isn't actually a process, it's just an outcome of doing some fantastic PR. And actually, we're getting more of an understanding now of Google's algorithm, and it isn't just about links, it's about citations, user behavior metrics, increased brand awareness. So if we're doing lots and lots of great PR and people are then starting to search for our brand directly online, then all of that is fantastic indicators to Google, which ultimately will help increase rankings. And we also need to make sure that we don't become so fixated on links that we're just putting out PR campaigns that aren't really that on brand and that aren't relevant. And I'll talk about that in more detail in a bit, because actually that can do more harm than good. Oh no. Oh yeah. So aside from that, fundamentally, before starting any good PR campaign, it's really important to start with the right media list. Before I started at Journey Further, I would always use our media database, so Gorkana, we currently use Velio, and there's quite a few out there. And they're great at downloading, your bread and butter media lists, so your nationals, your regionals, your lifestyle titles. But what I'm actually really excited about is, since starting at Journey Further, we've worked with our team and we've worked with our data analysts to devise a more data-led approach to media lists. So using SEO analysis and programmatic data, we can actually formulate a really great picture as to where we need to be getting our coverage and links. So I'm sure a lot of SEO people in the room are familiar with Ahrefs and possibly do this already. So we use Ahrefs to look at where our competitors are getting coverage and links. So it's really important as PRs that we're working really closely with our SEO team, because they've got so much analysis and data that we can use to help inform where we need to be getting coverage. But what's quite exciting is we're now combining that with programmatic data. So the example here is one of our travel clients. It's a programmatic site report, or replacement report they're sometimes called. And this shows us where our in-market audience are visiting after being to our client's website. And I've just highlighted a few publications in yellow that I think is quite interesting. Because for anyone who works in PR, there's nothing more disheartening than getting a piece of coverage on potentially a regional newspaper that doesn't have a link in it, because links are becoming harder and harder to get. And therefore, the client might turn around and say, well, I don't believe that my audience is even looking at that regional newspaper, and because it hasn't got a link in it, therefore it doesn't mean anything. But actually, if you've got programmatic data which shows, well, no, because your target audience are engaging with those adverts on that site, so that means that they are on those websites and they are absolutely reading them, it helps to validate your coverage. So not only are you able to see, right, these are the sites that we definitely need to be targeting, but also once you've got the coverage on that site, you can say, well, this is the reason why, and it helps to prove return on investment. So along with using data to create our media lists, we also then use data to create our content strategy. So we do this in two ways. Firstly, it's really important to create content that not only do your audience want to read, but also that the journalists are interested in as well. So using the same data set, the same programmatic data from one of our travel clients, I thought it was quite interesting, because you can use this data to help you come up with themes for your content. So you can see what your audience is actually interested in. So here from the travels client, it's not unsurprising that the Met Office, currency converter sites that they're interested in, obviously they're going to be interested in the weather and currency. But I know for a fact that our client, their audience is over 50, but yet they're going on tech radar. So when we're brainstorming, we can say, okay, well, maybe we should come up with something that's around technology, as well as things like currency and weather and things like that. So it's just making sure that our content strategy is being informed by data. Secondly, Google is becoming a lot more intelligent, and so therefore it's putting more emphasis on relevant content. So at Journey Further, we've created a pioneering machine learning tool which uses natural language processing through IBM Watson, which allows us to see how relevant our content is and to look at our client's backlink profile. So this is an example from one of our clients, Feast It. So when we run the tool, we can see sort of within the coverage and within those backlinks, we get a score. So we can see how relevant that content is. And we also get other things as well, like sentiment. So when we're reporting back to clients, we can say, well, actually, this content is really relevant. And so therefore, Google's going to give you more reward because they see it as a relevant site. You're not just trying to get coverage for the sake of getting coverage. But what we're really using this tool for, so Steve Walker, he's our SEO director, he's a genius. He's actually created his own our own script, which allows us to get all our clients' backlinks, run it through this script en masse, so thousands and thousands of links, which is really useful for when we're sort of onboarding clients or we're pitching to clients, because we can see just how relevant, or most of the time not relevant, their link profile actually is. And that allows us to identify the content gaps that we need to do both for online, both for on our client's website and also for the PR, to make sure that we're not just putting PR campaigns out just for the sake of it. We're actually creating content that's going to resonate with our audience and that are on brand. So once we've got our media list and we know sort of the content themes that we need to be talking about, something that we do at Journey Further is that we actually avoid big expensive campaigns. And I know there will have been a lot of examples today of fantastic pieces of on-site content that has driven lots of links and lots of engagement, and that's brilliant. That's really good. I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but there are times when you can invest a lot of your client's marketing budget to create a big shiny tool that sits on site, and then you spend thousands of pounds, it takes months of web dev to build, and then you can't get any coverage off the back of it. That's really stressful, not only just for your client, but for your team and your PR team as well. So that's why at Journey Further, we like to try and keep things really simple, because clients and brands have a lot of data and insight that you can utilize. So you can use their experts within their company to provide expert comment, really profile them. You can use their sales data to put forward insight on things for like trends. All of these headlines on the left here are actually just little pieces we've got recently, just using our clients' own content and advice. We've all got links off the back of that. We've actually not had to spend very much money at all. And there's other things as well. There's lots of third-party data out there that you can utilize. So ONS reports, freedom of information data, search data, social media trends and data. There's loads and loads of things out there that you can use for free. You don't have to spend loads and loads of money creating things because that puts a lot of pressure on you. And time equals money, and wasted time does not equal good performance. And the good thing about doing it like this as well means that you can switch it up. So if something's not quite working, you can change the angles, you can get feedback from journalists, and if worst comes to the absolute worst, you can just bin it. Because you haven't spent months and you haven't spent thousands of pounds on something, you can just move on to the next thing. And so therefore you're able to sort of more easily and quickly get more coverage and links for your client, as opposed to just sort of putting all your eggs in one basket with a really big, shiny piece of on-site content. So finally, you've got all those ideas, but then in order to get the coverage, you need to think like a journalist, so therefore you need to implement a newsroom mentality. So first of all, as part of our onboarding process at Journey Further, we make sure that we go down to London and we meet our clients' key journalists face to face. So once we've identified on that media list who we really need to be targeting, we try and set up meetings with them. And this can be quite time consuming, but it's always worth it. Because I actually went down back in September with one of my clients, and I was speaking to a journalist, and she said, do you know what, I have my planning meeting every Tuesday. So if anyone ever emails me on a Tuesday morning, I don't even bother looking at it if it's from a PR, I just put it straight in the bin. So straight away, I've gathered some really useful insight that all my competing PR people don't know about, and I make sure that I never contact her on a Tuesday. So it's not only a great opportunity to be able to sort of sense check ideas with the journalists and sort of tell them all about your client and your key messages, but also finding out how best they work. Another journalist said to me, I get thousands of emails. If you have an amazing idea and it can be summed up in 280 characters, then just tweet me. I'd rather you just tweeted me a pitch, and if it's good enough, I'll use it. So then we've got another journalist so we can just direct message on Twitter with stories. So absolutely worth going down. Media relations is really important to be able to get coverage and links. Journey Further, one of our values is we're very open. We try and be transparent with our clients. So once we've gone down, we make sure that we pull together a report. That becomes not only our Bible, because it means that we can go in and check back in a lot of time. When you do 2 full days of back-to-back journalist meetings, you can kind of forget everything after a while. It all blurs into one. So making sure that we take notes and write everything up. We then share that with our client as well, so that they have the same insight that we do. So all of that is very proactive. So sort of planned in content, and absolutely we need to make sure that we're planning in content and that we've got things coming up. So we usually do about a 6-month plan for our clients when we first start working with them. But you can go above and beyond your clients and get a lot of quick wins by reacting to the news agenda. So we call this tactic newsjacking. So every morning the PR team, they'll sort of analyse, we'll divide and conquer. So we'll have a look at a range of news outlets, social media channels, broadcast, and we'll see what's happening in the news that day or coming up throughout that week, and see if we've got any clients that we can just submit some comment for or some existing data for. And this is great because it means that clients really see added value because we're going to them, we're jumping on stuff, and as long as our client can turn things around quickly, there's no third-party cost. So often, as long as you get in there first, it can lead to some really good results. And if your client's already got a whole bank of great content on their website, then you can just share that with the journalists and sort of take snippets out of it. So that's just a tactic. I'm sure a lot of you might already be aware of it, but we do find that it's really beneficial. Brexit is obviously saturating the news at the moment, but we did actually manage to jump off the back of a story about people being concerned about their summer holidays before. This was a while ago, this was before the 29th of March, and this was for one of our legal clients. So yeah, it does work. And then I wanted to take you through a case study which I hope sums up everything that I've talked about. So we work with Airtasker. They are a job sharing community marketplace, so you can literally go on and you can post any job. Most people use it for things like cleaning, moving house, gardening, things like that. And they came to us and they said, we're really big in London, but actually we now want to launch in Leeds and then Manchester. So we want a campaign that's really going to resonate with the local Leeds people. It's going to drive sign-ups locally. But also, because we're really trying to improve our link profile, we want to make sure that we get some really good links as well. So we had a brainstorm within the team, and we were thinking dream job, Yorkshire, Leeds, Yorkshire puddings. So we came up with the idea of a Yorkshire pudding taste tester. So we worked with the botanist at Leeds Trinity, and we got them to sort of post on behalf of us saying that they were looking for a Yorkshire pudding taste tester, and the job advert was hosted on Airtasker, which was the client. Because the botanist was based in Leeds, we attracted a lot of entries of those people living in the surrounding area, and because in order to apply you had to sign up to Airtasker, it meant that they drove their local sign-ups, which is what they wanted. So as a result of that, not only did we get lots and lots of local regional coverage, but we also got massive blanket national coverage as well. They went crazy for it. And a bit like Shannon said, we actually sold this in on a Friday afternoon because it's the perfect content for Friday afternoon. It's light-hearted, it's fun, and we also pushed it out over the weekend as well. Not only did we push it out to all the online titles, we pushed it to broadcast as well. One of my career highlights was hearing this campaign on Gogglebox, and it also went on a lot of radio channels. I was driving home and it was on Heart, so it was just brilliant. So we got loads and loads of social mentions as well. Even Aunt Bessie's got involved. So then we were asked, okay, well, we want to launch in Manchester as well. And at that time, we were getting close to Christmas. And I don't know if you remember, but pigs in blankets were in the news pretty much every other day, with a supermarket launching something else around that. So we said, we teamed up with another restaurant in Manchester, the Oast House, which is very Christmassy, if you know it. We have a massive teepee every year. And we did the same thing. We increased the fee, so rather than being £250, we said, right, you can get paid £500 to come and taste different assortments of pigs in blankets. And I remember my strategy director, Dan Peden, said to me, look, Beth, you've shot yourself in the foot now, because this campaign has gone so well. There is no way that you can do this again 3 weeks later. Like, there's no way. But in the PR team, we like a challenge. And I was over the moon when this campaign did even better the second time round. So we were able to go after all those journalists who'd covered the Yorkshire pudding story, but then we were able to torch the journalists who had covered all the pigs in blankets stuff that had been happening on the months running up to it. So again, we were able to get national coverage, we got broadcast coverage, print. It just went absolutely everywhere. And what was a real highlight as well for me was I was getting my friends were messaging me saying, have you seen this Yorkshire pudding taste tester job advert in Leeds? And I was like, yes, I know, I'm working on it. It's actually a PR thing. And they were like, oh, right, how do I win? So yeah, it was fantastic. And as a result, we got 77 pieces of PR coverage, 59 of those were links, some really, really good quality, high-tier publications. And as a result of that, we actually won Most Effective Use of PR for SEO at the Drum Awards down in London, which did make us smile, because when the judges announced it, they said they were so impressed by how cheap and regional it was, which I'm not sure we took it, if that's a compliment or not, but we did take it as a compliment. So yeah, it was great. And I do feel that that sort of shows how this campaign was very low budget. It didn't cost a lot of money to do. So it just shows you don't always have to spend thousands of pounds. It can be quite simple. And then I don't have a lot of time, I don't think. I'd love to talk more about how reporting to help sort of justify return on investment in PR. But this is just a bit of a snapshot of our reporting dashboard that we use for Airtasker, actually. So again, Steve Walker created this dashboard through Data Studio, because when we set up Journey Further and we sort of spoke to clients, we realised that one of their pet peeves was slowness, which is why we sort of developed our proposition of clarity at speed. So thinking about that, we created this dashboard because we found that when we were doing our monthly reports, they were getting quite stale, and by the time you'd actually finished a monthly report, you're already in second week of the following month, and the client, by the time they'd even received it, probably weren't even reading it anymore. So instead of that, we've tried and keep away from PowerPoints, and we've just created this dashboard, which means that our clients can go in at any time of the day and see what our results are. So this is just an example of the coverage results, but actually from the SEO and from the SEO perspective, if you went on that, if it was a live document, you'd be able to see instantly the rankings. So our client can go in at any time because we've plugged the ranking tool into this, and they can see at any time of the day how their rankings are doing. So we try and be as transparent as possible, and that really helps us prove return on investment too. So finally, just some actionable takeaways. I do think it's important to ensure PR campaigns deliver more than just links, because you can make your campaign work so much harder if you think of it more holistically. Use existing data and insight to validate your coverage and to help you form your media lists and data content strategy. And maintain an always-on approach, because that allows you, rather than getting too focused on the really big campaigns, if you've got an always-on approach, it means that you're constantly getting coverage and links in the media, which I believe can really help drive more performance in the long run. Thank you. We will be sharing our slides later. As I said, my Twitter handle is @Beth Nunnington, so please tweet me if you have any questions.